Alright guys, welcome to Doozer Shop. Trying to make some headway on some of my projects. So this is my 1953 International pickup truck, and I got the gas tank out. I got the motor I'm rebuilding, but I got the gas tank out because it got a rust hole in the bottom. There must have been some water condensation, whatever, and that's the typical automotive gas tank. Sheet metal. This is my International fire truck, same cab, and I've got the gas tank out of it, and it's not a sheet metal gas tank. It's like 1/8 inch. You know, bigger trucks have thicker tanks, and this one was very rusty. You might have saw in some of my other videos tumbling. I think I had a short about tumbling the tank on my tractor, and had some rust in it. So I want to show you a little bit about, you know, I'm doing some work on the pickups for the fuel tanks that suck the gas out of the bottom. So yes, this is the big truck tank, and it's, you know, it's ready to coat on the inside. With the, and there's the engine for the little truck, gonna get rebuilt. But I wanted to show you some of the pickups that I've been making here. Bear with me. So this is the sheet metal tank out of the pickup. Okay. And I've done some acid etching on this. The sender unit was totally rusted out. Do I have it? I thought I had it somewhere. Yeah. Oops. So here it is, and the float's off of it, but this thing is just rusty. And how this works, the stainless steel crank goes through a diaphragm, and it moves. Let's see here. Okay. These contacts, it's basically, it moves the spacing of the contacts. And this thing blinks on and off like a turn signal flasher. It's a bimetallic strip. And like mechanical voltage regulators work like this. So it changes the frequency of the pulsing. The higher the fuel level is, the more frequent the pulses, and the lower the fuel level, the less frequent the pulses. And the needle it's not a resistance-based gauge needle. It goes up with just the duty cycle. How long do you apply the current, and it'll go up to full, or, you know, if you sporadically apply the current, it hovers around, you know, half or empty or quarter or whatever. Neat unit. I won't be putting this back in because it just was so rusty and seized up and corroded. But instead of a variable resistor, this is a King Sealy design. Ford and International used King Sealy in the 50s. I think Ford started in 47 or 48. Not a resistance based, it's a duty cycle based. But I'm going to put a GM unit in there and a GM gauge under the dash. Just throw this over here. All interesting things to me. So I want to show you. This is the pickup from this tank, and you can see it's 5/16 flare thread to 1/4 inch line, and it's just 2 screws, a gasket, and a flange. And man, this thing is like, it's just terrible. So what I did is I made a new one. Basically, you can see the diagonal hole pattern, and I made it out of a chunk of brass I don't know if it's brass or bronze, but this is sitting on my welding table forever. So I decided just to mill up something new. Okay, that's gotta be out. Okay. And what it is this, okay? I made a cork gasket out of an old Post-it note board. And it's just 1032 screws. And these are stainless screws. And I just counterbored them down in there. And this is just I'm going with just a 5/16 hose barb to 1/8 inch pipe thread. It's kind of hard to find, weatherhead fitting. So it's 5/16, nice barb to 1/8 inch pipe thread. And so you maybe could see I just drilled it from the side and tapped it and then drilled it from the bottom. Let the screws come out there. I'm going to show you, hold on a sec, get my gasket. So it's just cork. Cork is gas proof, that's why I use cork. So it's a 3/8 line, right? It's not 1/4 inch, it's 3/8. Oh, let's do the one-handed comparo. Come on, focus. So there we go. Not that I needed to upgrade, oops, but I had some stainless, okay? And what's neat is you can solder stainless steel if you use the green phosphoric acid to clean it. So you gotta mechanically abrade the chromium oxide layer off the stainless and dip it in phosphoric acid. Don't use hydrochloric or muriatic acid. You can, but the fumes just get everywhere in the shop. So yeah, heat it up with the torch, dip it, make it hot after you clean it, dip it in a little cup of phosphoric acid, dip it in regular paste flux, which is zinc chloride and ammonium, I think it's ammonium chloride too, flux, and then just put it in there and sweat it like you would copper pipe. So the point of all this is, sorry, that's the hole, you know, the flange that goes in, right? And I got some stainless screws. So stainless screws, cork gasket, stainless dip tube, pickup tube, and like I said, I just soldered it in there. 3/8 loose fitting hole for solder clearance, going down I think 5/16 deep, and then it continues with a 1/4 inch hole to the intersection of the 1/8 inch pipe thread. Notice I offset the 1/8 inch pipe thread to the top of that block a little bit, so I could have a nice elbow, and just don't drill through when you're trying to make the hole there. But that's it, and you know, I made it on the mill. So internationals don't have parts support like Ford and Chevy and Dodge. So I knew that when I was in high school and I bought the pickup truck. So I knew I had a machine shop of stuff. So I used it on the little Clausing 8520, even though I got the Bridgeport with the digital readout. One thing I wanted to show you, these are the pickup tubes for the big gas tank I just showed you in the shop. So here, I'll just put 3/4 pipe thread to 3/8 pipe thread bushings, and that's what these were. So that's 1/4 inch pipe. In the new one I made, I just happened to use electrical conduit, right? Electrical conduit, you know what I mean? Electrical. So that's 1/2 inch electrical conduit. Let me pick it up. And I just bored it out in the lathe to whatever size this EMT is, this thin wall EMT, and I just soft soldered it in there. No acid necessary. Galvanized steel will solder to brass or anything else just beautifully. And see, it's got this filter sock. It's got like a little, it's just a filter sock. It's got a push on barbed little thing. It just, they're kind of chintzy and they just push on. And I duplicated the size on the end of this tube. I just soldered on a piece of brass, something or other I had, and whatever, and you know, I turned the brass to fit a tight fit inside the little push-on ferrule of the filter sock. And I just went to the auto parts, and the gal in there helped me find I don't know, a GM Suburban, Chevy, whatever fits that sock is from. So it's a common thing. But like I said, let me make sure it's focused. Anyways, maybe it's not. I hope it is. Just solder it on, which is 50-50 or 60-40 rosin core solder. I left a hole there. Make sure I got the flow with the solder. But I know the hole is too small for the sock, but it's got a big trap door for a fuel pump in this tank, so I can reach down and put the sock on it. But you know, you just got to make stuff. Having a shop. That's why hopefully my subscribers watch my channel, is you can make stuff that you can't buy. But anyhow, I don't know how much time I got into this. Maybe 2 hours and probably 3 hours by the time I figured out to use the acid for soldering. I should do a dedicated video on the phosphoric acid to solder stainless. There's the only videos on YouTube about stainless soldering is buy my flux, buy my solder that works, and it's companies trying to sell their product. You know, like Harris and Muggy Weld and all that. But probably heavier and stronger than it needs to be. But I just had 3/8 stainless tube. And it's going to work wonderful for what I'm trying to do. And actually I wanted to go with hose because it's got a piece of tubing that goes to the fuel pump, hard steel tubing. So now I got this, and that's just a blank off, and I can put my evapor rust in there. I had phosphoric acid in there. And let me show you while I got the tank and I'm running video. I'm going to coat this tank with either PM Industries Miracle Paint or Eastwood. The Pour 15 silver is what you want to use. So let me tip this tank up. Alright, hold on. Alright. So here's the bottom of the tank. And originally what started me looking into this leak was the leak. And so I patched the leak. And boy, this is rusty, and it is a pain in the butt to get solder to stick to it. So there's about, I don't know, 6 pinholes right here. And it's not flat. The tank has crimson convolutes and whatever. This is part of the sump area. So again, I heated the tank up, cleaned it with wire brush, emery paper, and I used phosphoric acid, and I dipped a stainless steel wire brush into it. I brushed the phosphoric acid on the surface while it was hot, and then I used the flux, the zinc chloride flux, dipped the brush in the flux. You know, it's just the zinc chloride flux. The vehicle for that flux is petroleum jelly, like Vaseline petroleum jelly, because the petroleum jelly protects the surface from the oxygen. So the zinc chloride and the sal ammoniac that's in there cleans the surface, and like I said, the vehicle is the petroleum jelly, and that coats the surface to prevent oxygen from getting to it after the acid does its thing. And then I just tinned it with 60-40 rosin core solder, and put some blobs around where I wanted to do. And this is a piece of 10 thousandths thick copper shim stock, and I just happen to have some copper shim stock. And I just sweated it on there. I put it over the top of the tin surface with the little solder blobs. I used, my stainless brush was wood, so I used the butt end of the wood brush just to put pressure on it, and I just heated it until it just sweated itself on there. And then I just filled around the edges to taper it off. So that worked. I put some nuts and bolts in here and sloshed it back and forth. I hung it on my crane and just sloshed it, but hanging it in the middle. And then some other holes opened up. So this is a pinhole, and I just soldered it using the same phosphoric acid and zinc chloride flux. And I got one over here. And so that's adhered really well. It's like it got tar on the bottom of this thing. This is actually just the drain for the factory setup. But anyhow, after I sloshed this with the nuts and bolts and the phosphoric acid, I cleaned this out, got the bolts out, rinsed it with water, and now that I got the holes patched, that the phosphoric acid opened up, I want to slosh this whole thing with evaporust. And I know you got to either fill it up all the way or keep it moving, because if the level line of the evaporust will cause heightened oxygen enhanced corrosion, and it'll etch a line, and it could even etch through at the surface level layer of the evaporust. So watch out for that. I got a mechanical thing that rocks my tank. It's got like a motor and a little eccentric with a rod and a weight. So anyhow, and then I'm going to coat it with the silver Por 15. I've done this before. I know there's other gas tank sealers. I really believe in the silver Por 15 or the PM Industries Miracle Paint. It's a moisture cured urethane, right? So humidity, water in the air will kick off the catalyst reaction. They say it's a single part urethane, but it's moisture, humidity cured urethane. And that I've done a couple tanks with that. And the silver is what you want. I mean, they have black, but the silver offers the most, protection. So that's what I'm going to do, is slosh it with the paint. Now, I didn't have to put the patches on and solder the patches on. I mean, I could have cut it out and MIG welded a piece in or whatever, but all you need to do is tape it with duct tape or some really good sticky tape. If you got rust holes, put tape over it to seal the holes, and you can slosh the paint and whatever. But I wanted to fix this thing mechanically before I slosh it. Now, you can't get these international tanks. This is for a 53 International. You can get them for a 53 Ford, and they're a little bit bigger and a little bit longer. I think this is like 9 inches, and the Ford one is 10.5 inches or knocking on 11 inches. And it's a little longer, so you gotta crimp in the edge because it hits the cab corner. And Dennis Carpenter and Parts Depot have those in stock, but it's like $300. If I get the rust out and I etch the surface and I got white metal to bond the paint to, the polyurethane paint, this is going to last me hopefully forever. So anyhow, that's all I wanted to do is show you the thing I made for the pickup. And I'm just trying to say, you guys, I just got a caliper and I started measuring the hole locations and just drilling it on the mill. Soldered it with a propane torch, and in this, it's pretty straightforward. I want to inspire you guys to do stuff in your shop, and instead of being a slave to the consumerism that the big businesses want you to be, and buy parts and buy stuff, Well, they don't even want you fixing stuff, to be honest. But anyways, if you have a shop, it liberates you from being, you know, the helpless consumer. So get out in your shop, make stuff. Hope you enjoyed this little gas tank video, my little pickup tube I made here. The takeaway is phosphoric acid can etch the stainless so you can solder it. All right, till next time, this is Doozer Shop.